This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social. I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Smith Jr. Look, huge fight week here in Sheffield, Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, massive. I can't wait. It's good being in Sheffield. I like the place. I probably like it a bit more than all the other ex-pros or current pros, ex-amateurs who had to come here for GB squads. Mine was the old Crystal Palace days, so I've got nothing but good memories of Sheffield. I love the place.
Yeah, because Sonny's never boxed here as an amateur or as a professional. I mean, decorated amateur. You thought it'd be straight up to EIS boxing.
Yeah, especially being up here. We interviewed him today for Probellama, and he was explaining he's been up here for 8 years now since he's been up here with Sheffield, and his kids are up here now, and he lives up here, and this is home to him. So I'm buzzing for him because he's got an opportunity to really like carve out a good fan base here in what's technically now his hometown. And I remember the old days of when Naz and all the Ingles were up here, Johnny Nelson, Naz, all the lads up the Ingle Gym, Ryan Rhodes and everyone else. And it was brilliant then. And if you can get anything like that up here again in Sheffield with a bit of a following behind him, especially with Sonny Edwards being world champion already, then it'll be great again. Yeah,
I mean, it's a boxing city. I mean, I can't even count how many amateur boxing clubs are in this city. It's huge. EIS up the road as well. So, yeah, it's good. I mean, we had Dalton Smith here only a few weeks ago, but it's good to have big-time boxing again in Sheffield, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it is, and Dalton Smith's a really good talent. I like him, and I don't know whether I can call him a prospect anymore, because he's obviously won titles now, but I rate him a lot, and I think Grant Smith's doing an absolutely brilliant job, especially with Sonny. He's a good coach. I like him. I like his attitude. I like there's not much of an ego with him, and he just gets on with the work, unless the fighters take the plaudits, but he's a very good coach. And as I say, yeah, Dalton's tasty. If you know, you used to always just consider Sheffield as the Ingles, and I think Caldwell's up here and a few others. I mentioned a couple today again when I was interviewing Sonny, but Grant Smith's certainly put himself on that map and producing good fighters. And the amount of cards you could do up here now with just Sheffield fighters alone, they're getting to that level. So with Sonny having the world title, as I say, you know, sky's the limit. Hopefully the young kids in Sheffield can look up to him and say, well, you know, if he can win a world title, so can I.
Yeah, I think they will. You know, he had a huge amateur gym, did Grant, a few years ago. Now he's moved back to the pros doing that sort of thing, but a huge stable there as well for Sonny to learn and to get information of everyone.
Yeah, Sonny's a one-off, and the way he fights, I probably like it more and respect it more, because I probably could have never have done it in that style. No, I just come forward, and the way he's patient, takes his time and makes the miss, it's brilliant to watch for someone like me who fought the complete opposite way. But the work he's doing in the gym with Grant, you know, if it's down to Grant as well, then it's an even better team than I've mentioned. But as long as he keeps chipping away, working hard, stays disciplined, stays dedicated, he'll get the big fights. They will come to him. I know he's craving them, and he's sick of mandatories, and he doesn't want to keep fighting mandatories, but the big fights are out there, and as long as he's got that belt, he'll always have a target on his back, and he will get the big fights. He's just got to be a little bit patient, I think.
Sam Jones said he's top 5 in the world. Where do you rate Sonny Edwards?
He's definitely top 5 in the world, and I think he's proven that. I'd love to see the Martinez fight. I think it's a brilliant fight. There's a lot of very dangerous fighters at the weight below him that is weighting the weight above, so he seems the type of kid who isn't struggling too bad at the weight. He told me today he's got a nutritionist on board, and he's dedicated and disciplined. So if there was a possibility of him going down, the fights in Japan are going to be unbelievable. And if he can go up the weights, like he said, there's fighters that he's been calling out 1, 2, 3 weights above him. He's round the bends on social media anyway, isn't he? You know, so he's worth to follow. He's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I mean, what can he do if Martinez is not going to fight him? You know, arguably, he's saying that he should vacate that belt and this should be for the WBC belt. But what more can Sonny do, really, to get those big fights?
As I said before, he's just got to keep winning. Leave the business side to the businessmen. You know, you just concentrate on fighting and doing the best you can and performing on the night. And that's what he has been doing. He's performed. The times I've commentated on him and called his fights, he's been performing, and he's doing well. And as I say, that target is on his back, but he's got other people in his sights. He wants the big fight, and all you can really do is just be patient. He'll get frustrated if he starts trying to do the promoter's job and trying to make fights himself. So he's probably just going to have to stay patient, stay a bit mouthy on social media. You know, why not? It's not doing him any harm. He might be turning the odd couple of people off on social media, but the genuine fans are wanting to see him, and he will. Shy kids don't get sweets, that's a good saying, or closed mouths don't get fed. As long as he's piping up and talking on social media, he'll get the fights eventually.
Jack Basin and Shabazz Massoud, I mean, credit to both men. You know, they had options for easier fights. It's good to see 2 young fighters going through that domestic British title eliminator fight, that sort of way.
Brilliant. I've just been talking about it before, and I like Jack, and Shabazz is a nice kid as well. I've got to know him through Probellum, and I like him, and I think it's a brilliant fight. And no disrespect to Sonny, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. I think it's a great fight, and what I said about it, what was refreshing, is the fact that they're taking it at this level. A lot of people would have swerved that one. Let him go and win the British, I'll fight him for the belt, or I'll leave that one because they're too scared to lose their all. I think both of them know that, although they won't be thinking this, a loss won't finish either of them. A loss won't be the end at all for them. It's a very competitive fight, and I really like and rate the two of them, and I'm looking forward to that the most, to be honest with you. I think that could be stealing the show and fighting tonight.
So do I, because, you know, they could have fought for a WBC and Intercontinental and that sort of stuff, where you don't actually gauge where they are in their careers, because they fight, no one really knows who they fight, so it gives them a good representation of where they are in their career. Also gives us a good representation of where they are as well, Paul.
Yeah, and it gives us a good fight. Fans want to see good fights, and it doesn't matter what the ability level. I'm not saying that they're not able and they're not good fighters. They're brilliant fighters, two of them, very good prospects. But I don't mind watching a fight with two fellas who are 9-0 or 6-4 against each other. As long as it's a competitive fight, I'll watch good competitive fights. And the fact that we're getting these two willing to put it all on the line, albeit for not much reward, a lot of risk, hats off to them, and every credit to them. And as I say, I think it's going to steal the show, and I can't wait to watch it.
So do I. I mean, but we're not getting big fights at the moment, Paul, are we? I mean, look at AJ Fury not coming through. You know, Haney, that fight not happening, and Garcia, again, I'm pretty sure that probably won't happen either. So, where are we within boxing at the moment with those fights not happening, Paul?
I think we're probably in the place we've always been, to be honest with you. I think years ago it was probably worse. I always wanted to see Roy Jones against EUBANK or Ben. I wanted to see James Toney or Michael Nunn against Ben or EUBANK. We never ever got to see them. Sometimes the fights that you want to see won't happen for whatever reason, but a lot of times they do, albeit late. We saw Mayweather Pacquiao, we never thought we would. But you will get them. It's all about time, and it's all about the fighters and the promotions. And I'm sick of people comparing boxing to UFC. If I was a promoter and I controlled every boxer in the world, you get the best fights. If Eddie Hearn had every fight in the world, you get the best fights. If Frank Warren or if De La Hoya or Golden Boy had every fighter, you would get the best fights. But the fact that they're all rival promoters, there's a lot of politics involved. There's TV networks, there's deals, there's contracts, and it's a lot more complicated than the average man or woman on the street think. They just assume it's easy to make these fights. There's so many factors. That's why when Fury Joshua was mentioned before Christmas, it's never going to happen. And it's not me trying to be a know-all. Everyone that even probably doesn't follow boxing closely would have guessed that wouldn't happen. There's so many factors to come into play before you can make a fight like that, including the rematch, including the pair splits and everything else. It wasn't really going to happen. It takes time to make these great fights, but I'm buzzing that they all tried to make it, and I hope that we see it in the future. Again, maybe a little bit late now. He's lost to Usyk twice, but he certainly didn't disgrace himself against Usyk Joshua. He's a great fighter, so is Fury. It's a fight I've wanted to see for a long time. I think we will see it, but I think ultimately boxing is probably still on the rise. I think it's getting better and better. The fighters are being paid better now. The fighters are being taken more seriously now. On them top pay-per-view shows, you're seeing the fighter working on a split and the promoter taking a cut rather than the other way around. That's always been. So, credit to the promoters. They're doing it at that top level. Just needs to filter down and see the better fights domestically and internationally for us.
Because at the moment, I mean, again, at this weekend over in Dubai, we've got Mayweather Deji, J. Paul Anderson Silva, I mean, arguably, I'm not against Fury Chisora, I'm really not. Fury taking a couple of, I guess, easy fights in between. Hopefully, if we get the Usyk one, I'm not really against it, but it just seems we're just getting completely different at the moment, Paul.
No, I know what you mean, and there's frustration here. I don't want to see Fury Chisora, but I know why it's happening. And it is what it is. He needs a fight, Fury. He doesn't want to sit there and waste time. If I could come out of retirement and fight and get a few million quid for it and do a tick-over job against someone I've already beat twice, I'm doing it in a heartbeat. People stop me in the street and say, hey, would you fight that Jake Paul for 5 million quid? I'd fight Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora and Anthony Joshua in that ring right now for 5 million quid. Who wouldn't? It's a silly question. So I don't blame these YouTubers or ex-boxers for doing it, because it's business. If you can make money and stay healthy while you're doing it, as long as it's not, stupidly one-sided, then go for it. these exhibitions, Hatton and Pereira, I never wanted to see Ricky Hatton in a boxing ring again after he retired. He's my mate, he's a friend, I like him. I've got a lot of time for him. But the fact that it's just an exhibition, it's billed as an exhibition, I'm all fine with that. I'll watch that. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, exhibition, I'll watch it, it's an exhibition. When you're seeing fighters coming back and they're making a comeback in a competitive fight, you never had it 20 years ago, what makes you think you got it now? You know, time doesn't wait for no one. But if you're billing it as an exhibition, I'm absolutely fine with it. If you can make a few quid, get fit, give you a goal to aim for, exhibitions are fine with me, but I think you're right in what you're saying. We just want to see great fights, and we want to see good fights, competitive fights, with the best fighters against each other. And unfortunately for boxing, we kick ourselves in the foot in the foot sometimes, where they just don't happen for one reason or another, and the fans are left waiting and wanting the fights. But I think we'll get to see them in the end. Unfortunately, it'll be maybe a bit too late, but we will get to see them.
Yeah, it's a shame because you're now just stood there, just go, well, it is what it is type thing, and unfortunately, what else can we really do other than just keep talking about it? But you've been in the game longer than me. But I think that come out of last weekend was AJ possibly having conversations with Wilder's team, that happening in the new year. I mean, again, that's the fight we all want to see as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I had a feeling Wilder might have retired after the Fury losses, and he's made plenty of money, and he must still have the ambition there, or he must still want to make a few quid. But for me, he didn't look like he had much left in them fights. And granted, it's against Tyson Fury, albeit he's going to make anyone look at the worst. But I wouldn't have been bothered if he'd have called it a day there and then, just for his health and well-being. You know, you never know. He took a lot of them fights as well. Joshua, I don't think he was disgraced or hurt too bad in the Usyk fights, so that's a different kettle of fish. It's a different ball game. I'd love to see all three of them fighting against each other. You know, not necessarily Fury Wilder again, but Fury Joshua Wilder. I'd like to see them fight. I think Andy Ruiz will have a little say in all that as well. I love his style. I like the way he fights. He's won the title before, albeit in an upset, and he lost it in the rematch, but he didn't train. He looks in phenomenal shape now. I'd love to see him on his day against them all. Dylan White's still got a little say in it. You know, there's Jalilov coming through, and I think he'll be a problem for all of them. Jalilov, once he gets up there, he's just got to build his engine up to get to 12-round level. But for me, I think he'll be world champion in future. So the heavyweight division is still there. It's still the glamour division, and I do think we'll see them fights eventually. But I agree with you, it's frustrating when we're not getting them, and it is sort of that attitude. Well, you know, that's boxing, but we can say that on a lot of issues, couldn't we? We'd be here all night talking, from drug tests to boxers being paid to everything else. It's all that's boxing, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
One fight that is being rumoured, I don't know if you can give us any more clarification, is EUBANK. Liam, what can you tell us, Paul?
It's been in the pipeline, and it's been probably signed for a long time ago when Liam went to Sky, so it's not a new, so to speak. Whether it'll happen or not before Christmas might be the issue, but it'll happen, and very confident of Liam. When it happens, I sparred EUBANK, and the next day he sparred Liam, or the day before me he sparred me, and I sparred him the next day. I've sparred him a few times, so's Liam. After watching the spar, after knowing me brother inside out, after watching EUBANK, I'm very, very confident in Liam doing a job on him. But he's a great fighter, he's a very, very good fighter. Well respected in the game, well respected by us. I'm sure he'll be respecting Liam. He's been in the ring with him himself, and he knows what Liam brings to the table. So it's a fight, obviously, I think Liam's going to win and going to win well. I think he'll do a number on him, and I'm really looking forward to it when it happens. But when it happens, I don't know. I don't do Liam's negotiations. I'm not privy to them. And when I speak to him, it's just either over a coffee or over a game of Call of Duty or something, or a game of snooker or pool. So I don't really know much.